Uh, Om Namah Shivaya and good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
My voice is clear and
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
yes, sir. So uh, this is a new semester and we are beginning the class on this day, our first class. So I thought rather than having some, formal lecture, let us introduce uh, idea and the, uh, the subject matter which we are going to discuss in the coming semester, and also about our department through which we provide these courses. So because most of you are not yet exposed to the campus environment, and you might have not seen how the department of Amrita Darshanam and that functions. So I thought, let me give some exposure, some glimpses of that, and also some idea will be given why the subject, this subject matter to us, why this cultural study is important for us. So having said that, another thing is in my classes, the discussions are open. So anybody is you should always feel free to ask questions. You feel free to interrupt in between the class if you have some doubt, uh, and do not hesitate to raise the question, or you do provide your suggestions and all the things which will improve our discussion. So do not hesitate whenever you have some suggestion or doubt or some questions or certain topics if you want to discuss. So feel free to do that. The course content is somewhat flexible, so we will decide accordingly. And also, pardon me if I'm having a little cough. So if there is some, uh, sound breaking is there. So excuse me for that. Whenever some voice interruption is there or some video, clarity is not there, just let me know. Uh, so I'll share my screen and let us have some exposure to the the course curriculum and the department which Amrita Darshanam department through which we provide these courses. In your upcoming semester also you will be offered certain elective courses. So this will also give you some idea why, what kind of courses we offer for you people, and why you should take these courses. So any question, any doubt before we begin the discussions, or anything you want to suggest, anything you want to ask? Anybody in the class, feel free to, So if there are no questions, let us begin the. So is my screen visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is our department logo, and we are part of Amrita University, and our department is one of the international center for spiritual studies, and it's Amrita Darshanam. One of its center is also in our Bangalore campus. So we operate across the Amrita University. In all the campuses, we offer these kinds of courses, and be it engineering students, be it medical MBBS students, be it humanities, be it philosophy, literature, English, in all the courses across the university, we have around 18,000 students in our university. So all the students, they are offered these courses as a foundation course. It's there in the curriculum. Much before in the government of India has inculcated these. Yeah, somebody wants to ask something. Okay. So much before government of India introduced in these kinds of courses in its new education policy, like just this year, last year it was introduced. Amrita University has been doing this for many, many years. So in a way, we are advanced, in these sorts of efforts. The idea is, there is an education for life and there is an education for livelihood. So the idea is to expose, young minds towards the higher goals of life. Not much, career oriented, not much, profession oriented, but something which makes any human being a happier human being. Whatever the career and money and fame and name, whatever we aspire for, it's all for happiness. But the kind of these money and power and other things can give us only the comfort. So there is a difference between comfort and happiness. For example, right now you might be sitting on a nice cushion in a very pleasant environment. All the comforts, maybe air condition is there, your stomach is filled, all the facilities are with you. But suddenly you hear some unpleasant news or something unpleasant. When your mind is not stable, it's agitated, all the comfort would not make sense. There are many rich people, those who are suffering from depression or mental anxiety, or many people. There is some noise. I think I'm muting everybody again. Maybe it's because of that some noise is coming. So try to mute yourself. Let us not interrupt the class because of these sorts of technical problems. Feel free to ask if you have some questions. Feel free to ask. Otherwise, let the class, the discussions go smoothly. So I was discussing, if the mind is not, agitated, then only all the comforts make sense. Otherwise, the whatever we get from our livelihood, if it is not making he suggested that in the Amrita University has a major noises there. Should I? Is the noise the disturbing others also, or maybe it's just in my system? Now it is not there, but what about? Okay, so fortunately now the noise is not there. So he predicted long back that Amrita University has its major role to play in transforming our society into a knowledge society through unique value added education system. So this is the unique value added education system is our core competence. which you might be not getting in any other colleges or any other university. So value added education system is our core competence in a way. When multinational companies, they go for recruitment across various other university campus, they find that Amrita University students are more inclined towards the morality or the value education. There is an intelligence quotient, and there is a emotional quotient, and there is also moral quotient. So in ethical values and in these sorts of value system, because the structure and course curriculum and environment is there in our, we try to provide. Of course, we try from our side, we try our best. It's finally, it's up to the clapping sound cannot come from one hand. So in our college prayer also we say that Tejasvina Vadhit Mastu. So Sahaviryam Karvave. We should put the effort together. So from our side, we put maximum effort to provide these sorts of value education system. And of course, students get benefited, and that's the core competence, and that is what Amrita University is known for. So through our department, we try to give these sorts of things. So this is our vision and mission. We have certain faculties. Most of you might be already knowing. Some of the courses which we offer are a cultural education. You are exposed to the cultural education one now. We'll be studying two. Yoga and meditation. Amrita Value program will be offered in your third and fourth semester. And then we offer certain courses related to, Indian polity and history. For example, this Glimpses of Eternal India, which is being offered to your seniors. This is one of the, I think we are offering it to your batch also for AAA. A very unique course which provides students, those who are preparing for UPSC exam or want to know about Indian history and polity and other things. For them, this course is very much beneficial and will add the value. For example, when you go for your placements and other things, the majority of students already have the good degree and marks and grade in engineering subjects. But what recruiters, they look for some additional values, which other students might not be having. And through these sorts of courses, students can present themselves that they have certain something additional. So we also offered one of very popular course, Message of Bhagavad Gita, where we discussed lots of philosophical details and importance. Remember, always whenever we study some scripture through electives which we offer through our department, we go into the original text. We study through the original scripture, and we also make the students to recite it in classical music. So it's a kind of holistic training into those subject matter. We also offer to your seniors message to Upanishad, and many more electives are there. We always welcome students to give their own opinion about what types of elective they would like to have, and we give them the choice, and you can come up with your own suggestion and your own choice. We also have done certain projects and funding. Our department is also known for, we conduct so many workshops and seminars and lecture series. So just in last 2 years, this is just a small glimpse, not all posters have included. We have conducted around 4 to 5 temple architecture workshops, one national level of seminar on Buddhist logic. We did a whole lecture series on Sanskrit literature. We did a very unique kind of workshop on tantric traditions of India, which is nowhere you will find these sorts of workshop being offered. And in all these, for example, these temple architecture and iconography workshop, we invited some of the top people from the country. We invited for our workshop Professor Nagaswamy. He's one of the most renowned archaeologists. He's a Padma Bhushan awardee, a great scholar from Tamil Nadu. And he came to our campus, Bangalore campus. He delivered many lectures. Students were got opportunity to one-to-one interact with him. And we also take our students, it's not just about theory. We take our students to these temples, and we go with the scholars, and we already have connection with the temple authorities. So we get a chance to explore, the hidden things which are not, ordinarily the people will go, they might not get exposure to those areas of temples, which we get access to. And we go with a philosopher, historian, so these are something very unique which you will find through our department and through our programs. As I said, we did a Tantra workshop, and we invited some of the top people, Professor Salman Hackley from University of Boston, American, one of the top university from United States. He came to our campus. He delivered 3 days lecture. Michel Suber, another American professor, was here. Like he delivered his lecture. In this Buddhist logic workshop, it was a national seminar funded by Indian Council of Philosophical Research, the top body of Indian philosophy. And we got many vice chancellors, even some IIT professors, and one abbot from a Buddhist monastery. They all were part of these workshops. So these are some glimpses of these programs are open to everybody, but to the students, those who are associated with Amrita Darshanam department and they choose the elective, they get more, because they are already exposed to these sorts of things. So they get, more inclination towards these activities. So, but of course, everybody in the Bangalore campus and also in other campus, these are open programs. So these programs are open for everyone. We also conduct certain things. For example, here you can see these are students, and they are trained by our faculty, one of our former faculty. She was a Bharatanatyam dancer. So these are students, they were trained by him. They performed in one of the cultural festivals. Here the students are doing a theater. So these all are programs were conducted by our department in Bangalore campus. Here this is a photograph on the left hand side. It's a photograph of the Buddhist logic workshop, and on the right hand side, these all are on this round table. All the first year students, they are sitting and they are asking the questions, they are interacting. We also involve you people, in helping with the coordination of the whole, activities. And we send students, for example, the students go to receive, Professor Nagaswamy. So they are coming with him in the taxi from airport, and they start interacting while they are traveling for 1 or 2 hours. So it's a rare opportunity to interact one-to-one with such legendary persons, who is a Padma Bhushan and he's renowned all over the world. And you are sitting next to him and interacting with him. With many IIT professors, like not many renowned people So we try to involve students for these activities also. Here on the right hand side, you are seeing it's a workshop on the, and you can see there are participants from various universities also. And these all photographs are of our Bangalore campus. um, we also conduct certain ritual programs, and which is esoteric in nature, and we make students to exposed to these rituals, like the philosophical meaning behind it, why these and how these rituals and meditations are conducted. And you can see here there is this professor is Simon Hadley is also sitting between us, amongst us. Here these your seniors are there chanting Rudrashtradhyay in front of Professor Nagaswamy. So we conduct these sorts of sessions also, and where you can get a live demonstration of some esoteric rituals. This is what you are seeing here. It's a Sri Vidya worship. It is being performed in our campus. So it's a very rare. We got this priest. He's a very renowned. He comes from that Sri Vidya lineage of that particular tradition. So also we also conduct certain programs for students, those who take our elective courses. So we take them to certain places, heritage tour. And last year now, we took your seniors to, can somebody guess which place is this? Through this, there is this famous Narasimha.
Hampi.
Yes. Yeah. That's Hampi. Thank you. So we took, this was 2-night and 3-day tour. And we took a group of students, those who took the elective courses, to Hampi. And where we visited all the Virupaksha temple and various sites, Hazar Ram temple, with a renowned scholar and historians. So that's another opportunity which you get, and it's a kind of educational tour. So entertainment is also the part of these programs, but it's more about educating students about the culture and heritage and the history of India. Here you can see Professor Krishnamurthy on the left corner. He's conducting a workshop. Right hand side you are seeing this Professor Sebastian from IIT Bombay. He's a very renowned scholar, and he's speaking, and next to him is sitting the abbot of Bailakuppe Monastery, and he's a UK citizen. He has been awarded by the Queen of United Kingdom the medal. So these sorts of very renowned people, they come to our campus, they talk to us, they interact with us, they give lectures, and we try to expose all our students to these sorts of activities, which is something very unique. So, of course, we conduct certain yoga and meditation sessions. You are already exposed. We also conduct certain field trips to different temples. There are certain bhajan chanting sessions. You can see our campus director and other professors, along with the students, they have joined these. And there's we do certain festival, some celebrations in our campus. So also, once you learn all these things, whatever we through our courses and other things, we publish one biannual magazine, and it's named as Samvit, and you all are invited to contribute your articles to it. So in these magazines, several of your seniors have contributed their articles. So in my classes, I always encourage students to write their assignment in such a manner that they can use them for, it should be written like a scholarly article, and so that that can be used to get published somewhere. And here is one such opportunity to get your things published in our own biannual magazine. This is our department specific magazine, so where you get the chance to publish your writing pieces. Of course, we help you, we train you, we give so if needed, we can give the guidance how to go ahead with these, writing scholarly article and get it published. So these are certain small glimpses of our activities. Now, let us. I've already shared the. I think I've. Yeah, if you go to your Teams, you know, your classrooms,
File
Teams.
section, sir.
Yeah, file section. Okay, sorry, let's do that. I've shared the booklet. I hope some of you have already seen, right?
Yes, sir.
Here it is.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So I've shared the booklet. So I'll just try to have look at it. What are the course content of this particular semester? So, okay. Mm, so you all are supposed to download and go through the booklet. Will be, of course, we'll be discussing certain content matter of this booklet, but uh, what I would suggest that uh, we won't be reading discussing the exact the things written in these booklets, because you can do on your own. We'll discuss something in addition to it, and then uh, as you might have seen, your question papers in your different exams, it's a combination of all the faculties of Amrita Darshanam. They contribute to the question pool, so you need to get exposure to other things also. But most of the things come from this. This is our standard format of curriculum designing, and if you go through the booklet, almost 70% of the questions will be covered. So in this, from India, education system in India, uh, Bharata, the human, India has font, India has in the domain of science in of culture. Hello. Uh, There was a interruption. Can somebody respond if I'm audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Oh,
Yes, sir.
So,
course. Again, some break was there. Sorry, some network interruption was there from, I don't know, from my side. So here is the content matter, and uh, uh, so first topic is to the word from India, how India has contributed to the word in the domain of technology, in the domain of language, in the domain of culture and other things. Second topic is about education system of India, and it starts from Takshashila to Nalanda to Vikramshila to Vadantapuri, and several ancient universities which got developed in India. Then third topic is about insights from Mahabharata, and here you get exposure towards certain, incidents from Mahabharata. For example, uh, there is a question of Yaksha and how Yudhishthir answers it. So, a very profound questions and discussions takes place there. There is a Vidur Niti, this renowned sage is giving his discourse to Yudhishthir. Then there are certain topics such as the Vedas and its overview, one God, many forms. So, Bhagavad Gita, examples of Karma Yoga. So these are the topics which we are going to cover in the coming semester through this course. So you just go through the booklet. Fortunately, this time we have got the booklet is in good format, PDF format. It's not a scanned copy. So you'll enjoy the reading this booklet too. Before we enter into the this course structure, let me give you why this some idea why these this these topics such as to the word from India, why it is so important in the present context. Now, how India has contributed to the world and why we need to know, why we need to be aware of it. So I'll just give you one example here. Like in 2019, there was our Prime Minister Narendra Modi. He met Chinese President Xi Jinping, and he chose the location of his meeting to Mahabalipuram or Mamallapuram. Now he did this thing purposely. This ancient city, which is located about 50 kilometers. Some of you might have already visited it. Is anybody from this class has visited Mahabalipuram?
Oh, yes, sir.
Oh, okay. Swati has visited. Somebody else? So, Swati, can you throw some light why he chose Mahabalipuram?
Sir, I'm not sure. I visited it like 5 or 6 years back. I'm not sure about that.
Okay. All right. So even I visited when I was very young, but till very recent day I was not aware of the importance of this place. So this place he purposely chose this place because in ancient time Tamil Nadu had a very strong cultural ties with China. Now there used to be a Chinese, like a Tamil prince from Pallava dynasty. His name was Bodhidharma, and in 6th century he went to China, and he became one of the most revered figure in China. He established the whole Buddhist tradition of Zen in China. and he was a Pallava king from Tamil Nadu. So Kanchi, the modern day Kanchi, used to be a huge spiritual center for Hinduism and Buddhism. And many scholars and philosophers, they went from India to China. So there was strong, very strong cultural ties. And unfortunately, nowadays we are not aware of it. So perhaps through, these sorts of, diplomatic relations, which we start building through other countries and other nations, you know, we need first of all, we need ourselves to get exposed to our own culture and our own tradition, that how we have contributed to the world. If you go to China and Japan and the Tibet and to so many countries, to Bhutan, their whole culture is actually Indian culture. Their calendar system is derived from India. Even the certain alphabets and their deities, their tradition of worship, their architecture, their sculptures, they have a huge Indian influence. But unfortunately, we ourselves are not aware of our own tradition. Forget about their, other tradition. But in ancient time, we have influenced them, and in using those, those incidents of the past, in present day, if we want to lead the nation and in a with a strong cultural tie-ups with the other countries, these knowledge of these things are very much important. So this is another reason why the discussions on these topics and subjects becomes very much relevant in contemporary times. So there was a book published from Frontline, and Hindu deities worshipped in Japan, and there is also a very nice documentary made by a documentary maker. So I'll just give you some.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
There is that Hindu deity, princess from. Princess from South India somewhere. Yeah, I have.
Oh, okay. You are confusing. There was a princess from Korea who was connected with Ayodhya. So maybe
That Ayodhya is misconceived. Like it's not from Ayodhya. Like that time, 2nd century, all those stuffs and all. That time, the name Ayodhya was there in South India, it seems, sir.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Yeah, I think you are hearing about that.
Maybe. I'm not sure. Thank you for Harshvardhan. So if there were very strong ties with these Asian countries, and maybe because we have not just one Ayodhya, there are so many Ayodhya. We have one Ayodhya in Thailand also, so maybe some ties might be there. But just I had somewhere I have read that there was a Korean princess. She had some connection with Ayodhya. So I'm not sure. Maybe Harshvardhan might be. Maybe Harshvardhan, you explore about it more, and maybe you can share something in the next class. Even I was not aware of this Bodhidharma, but one of your seniors informed me that there is a film also recently made, not very old one, but recently made on Bodhidharma, where he goes and the Tamil film.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
7 Sins.
Sorry?
Movie name is Seven Sins, sir.
Oh, okay. So, thank you. So, I have not seen the film yet, but like these all things are recent happenings. Not in last 4 or 5 years only we are exposed to these sorts of things. Earlier we were not aware of these great heritage of our own country. So that is why the awareness of these things have become very much important in modern day, and our course is helping to do that. So Yeah. So let me share the documentary, and you can watch it. Uh, of course, I'll be sharing the link so you can watch the full documentary. I'll just play a certain introductory portion of it. So the sound is coming. Can somebody tell me whether the sound is there?
No, sir.
No,
No,
sir.
sir.
What about now?
No, sir.
You can listen to the sound.
Sir, no, sir. Sir?
I think you have not allowed computer audio, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sorry?
You
Sorry?
have not included the computer audio, sir.
Computer audio, sir.
Okay, okay. So I'll share it again.
Yes, sir.
A stopper.
Now it
Yes,
is not
sir.
coming. No?
It's
Along with
coming,
the
sir.
idea of Buddhism and Hinduism, the culture of Indian deities traveled across the whole of Asia.
Chant. How much? Chanting.
Very interestingly, more than 80% of Japanese gods are originally Indian gods.
This is ambassador of Japan speaking. More than 80% of Japanese gods are actually Indian gods.
This close relationship between the people of India and Japan has not been known to most people. Well-researched books on the subject are also not available.
Most of Japanese don't know. For example, I live in Kichijoji, in the outskirts of Tokyo. This Kichijoji literally means temple of Kisho goddess. And the Kisho is originally Lakshmi. So thus, I came from Lakshmi town.
So
This should be recognized by Japanese people, the bottom of Japanese culture. Indian culture is very strongly imprinted and developed in the Japanese way.
so you can see the Japanese ambassador. He comes from a city
The Todaiji temple at Nara is one of the oldest and most
which is almost like a named like a Lakshmi Puram. Of course, in Japanese way, but he's also saying that at the bottom of Japanese culture, it's the very strong imprint of Indian system is there. So
revered temples of Japan. The 48 feet high Vairochana here is the largest bronze statue in the world.
Already in the 8th century, Indian Buddhist monk named Bodhisena has arrived to Japan, and he inaugurated the eye-opening the ceremony of Great Buddha of Todaiji Temple in 752.
Bodhisena and Buddhasthira, they then went to a temple nearby, Dayanji, where they started the teaching of Sanskrit in Japan for the first time.
Spread of Indian culture and language and Sanskrit, and the whole of
When the Japanese studied Sanskrit in the 8th and 9th centuries, Sanskrit was synonymous with the Siddham script. This was used for writing Sanskrit since the 5th century in India.
and these scrolls are present now at present in Japan, and all the mantras. If you go to the temples of Japan, not just in Japan, in China, in Bhutan, in Nepal, in Tibet, all the mantras in their temples, they are not written in their own languages such as Chinese or Japanese. They are still written in the ancient, the Siddham script, what you just saw. So it's still in their culture and in their tradition and in the religion. The very strong imprint of Indian tradition is there. So the idea is, the more the people of these countries and these places are aware of their roots, which has a very strong connection with India, the more the India and the world we together, because nowadays we all are interdependent nations. We depend for many things to the other countries, and other countries also depend upon us. So because of interdependency, we can develop a holistic world, a more peaceful world, a more prosperous world. So studying these types of subjects also helps us in these kinds of all around development, and that's another idea why we are studying these sorts of papers and the subjects, and we are discussing this. So I think the time is almost up. If somebody is having any question, any doubt, feel free to ask. Any suggestion how we should go ahead with the next lecture. If you have some suggestion or something, feel free to share. So if there are none, then we can call it a day, and I'm stopping the recording. I've already taken the attendance, so you can leave the meeting, and we'll be meeting. I think on next class is scheduled on Friday, 3rd hour, I think. So we'll meet on Friday next. Okay, so